disproven. So I would say that, yeah, we made it.
Quick follow-up. Do you think you then can prove in the physical world the existence of God?
Well, you're always going to have room to doubt something. Just the possibility.
But it's only logical.
The ability or certainty. But yes, I do think we can go beyond reasonable doubt in making the case for the existence of God.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll speak really quickly. Something that I wanted to add is that everybody in this room is an atheist with respect to the vast majority of gods that mankind has created. When you understand why you reject Apollo or Vishnu or Muhammad, you'll understand why we reject those. It's simply because we don't believe that there's enough evidence. Actually, I'd also like to point out really quickly that this would be very simple. I mean, if there's an all-knowing, all-loving God who wanted us to know of his existence, what could he do? I mean, he could put prime numbers, create some pulsars with some prime numbers, or anything like that. I mean, put something in our DNA which absolutely does not mutate, a 100% preserved, immune to mutation sequence that we could call the God spot. I mean, or he could simply, be really persuasive and pop up. I mean, if he wanted us, if he was here, he's not doing a whole lot to help the people who were arguing for his existence. He left the evidence, missing, I guess.
I don't know who was first, but I think we were in the first half.
I have a question for you guys. You mentioned earlier that, I don't remember what you're talking about, but something was verified by A mathematics. I'm not positive on A mathematics. It might have something to do with imaginary numbers. Is that what you said, A mathematics?
I probably just misspoke.
Alright, do you believe things are verifiable by mathematics?
Yeah.
And would you or would you not agree that there is something called a law of mathematical probability that states anything is improbable enough to reach 10 to the 53rd power, as I understand it, it becomes naturally impossible?
I've never heard that. Wait, actually, I think that I have heard that, and I thought that I had heard it rebutted, but I do not have that rebuttal here, so suffice it to say that, sure, that sounds reasonable. Why not?
Well, our laws, are there constants? Are laws evolving the way everything should be evolving?
Well, constants don't necessarily evolve because they're not subject to natural selection.
So, are there laws that are not changing?
Yeah.
Well, then how can a naturalistic worldview account for things like law of thermodynamics when things aren't created or destroyed? Or the law of abiogenesis, where life cannot be created or destroyed, proven by Louis Pasteur?
Actually, what Pasteur proved, first of all, there is no such thing as a law of abiogenesis. Second of all, what Pasteur proved is that maggots don't, appear on rotting meat. I mean, that's different. I mean, would you actually like to discuss abiogenesis real quick?
I would like to discuss it. I think, for time's sake, that would really be appropriate. I'd like to get back to my original point, leading up to the mat law topic, which would be the mat law of mathematical probability, which, to say that something came from nothing, or the Big Bang, from a singular point of singularity, actually breaks that law of mathematical probability, which says that it is more than 10 to the 53rd improbable that it happened. So the law of mathematical probability says that cannot happen.
I'd like to see your data calculating that it's more than 10 to the negative 53rd.
It's not a creationist that created that data, by the way.
I'd like to see it. I mean, I'm genuinely curious, but even still, I would love to see the calculations for an all-knowing, and all-powerful, and all-loving God popping out of nowhere, because something can't come from nothing. So I'd like to see the calculations demonstrating that him simply popping up is less than 10 to the
physical natural property which God is outside of, and you're failing to understand that he is outside of his natural properties since he can create those. They are created things. They are not his.
The problem that you're running into here is you're doing what we were talking about before and assuming that our laws would work the same as they do now back then. And in the singularity, who knows how things work because our space and time didn't exist. So for all we know, math wouldn't work the same.
I would also advise read some Aristotle if you haven't already read his physics, metaphysics. He really brings a good point up infinite digress and how that really is impossible with rectilinear motion and circular motion.
And William Bauckham actually provided a nice counter for that, refuted it. But I mean,
I'll go back and read it.
Negative
I was going for the secularists. So we hear about, well, I mean, we've heard about the Large Hadron Collider and these quite amazing experiments going on with, particle acceleration and Big Bang creation, all that sort of stuff.
Can you speak up a little bit? I think.
Oh yeah, so we've heard about.
I heard you have to hear, but I just perceive myself hearing you in the pictures.
Oh yeah. So we've got these great advances in sciences and this sort of crazy physics and creating all these things that we thought possibly were impossible. Do you foresee a time where we will be able to recreate the situation that led to the Big Bang? And will we ever be able to speculate more concretely about how life was created, how the universe was created, or will that sort of forever?
About how life was created, I believe absolutely. I think that as time goes on, the further back something is, and the more, I guess, the less similar that it is to what we know right now, the more difficult it's going to be to recreate it. The recreation of life in terms of abiogenesis and how that's coming along, I mean, the building blocks, all the pieces and all the steps are absolutely there. However, it's difficult to create something, or to recreate something that took, half a billion years. I mean, that's somewhat difficult. Recreating the Big Bang, well, if we actually did it in the laboratory, it would kill us. But other than that, I mean, as far as, can it be verified somewhat mathematically? Are its predictions fulfilled? I mean, that's a test of scientific theory, and yes, I mean, those are being met. I think that as time goes on, of course, we'll learn more.
I was going to say that as far as recreating it goes, it's probably dangerous because it's hard to
We wouldn't want to do it
inside of.
A little bit.
Alright, this is directed to Chris and Maria. So you guys basically presented the cosmological argument, which I'll admit is the argument I find most persuasive. The thing I don't understand about it is even if you invoke sort of a supernatural origin to the universe, how does that explain God's omnipotence and omniscience? Couldn't you simply say there's some supernatural force that started the universe, we don't know exactly what it is, why does this have to be a God, per se?
Well, if you invoke a non-all-powerful supernatural force, then you got another finite quantity, which does beg the question as to what created this finite quantity. So you're going backwards until you hit the ultimate supreme being, of which there can be nothing greater.
But I would also say that the omniscience are the properties that we give to the Christian God, but we base those ideas of the specifically Christian God on larger things than anything physical world. So we are recording that our ideas of created God as these things. But I would say that they're not all right. Just talk about the past created. I would say that everything that we created would seem to exhibit this rationality. You would at least have to have a hard physical comprehension.
Any other question?
Just a clarifying statement. In reference to the fact that you said God's really not helping out people that are trying to prove him down here, I do want to clarify. God's not trying to prove himself to anybody. It never has been. That's not the point of God's nature. He's not trying to prove that he exists. He states it that he exists. But in reference to your statement about a gene or something like that, how would you explain the inherently religious nature of mankind? The fact that every tribe on the face of the earth worships something. Just out of curiosity.
Fair enough. There's a quick answer, and I'd like to follow up.
There's a couple explanations that people come up with for that about how you're talking about how every culture in the world seems to develop some sort of religion, right? There's a few theories that I've heard, and of course it's kind of hard to judge, how people were thinking so long ago. But there's one explanation that comes up with, for example, like if you're out in the middle of a savannah and you think you see a tiger and you run, you're going to be safe versus someone who thinks he sees a tiger and just goes or doesn't see a tiger, and gets killed. So our brain is developed to see patterns where there are none, just for safety's sake, right? So that kind of helped us with survival, but it has the side effect of making us see patterns everywhere, regardless of whether or not they have to do anything with survival, like optical illusions. Our brains get screwed up by them. And that's just one explanation, of course, but you have to.
Well, actually, I was going to, if I were to step on what you said, there's an asymmetry of risk. If I'm at the watering hole and I hear a noise, and I say that, oh, it's a tiger when there really isn't one, I run off, burn a couple hundred calories, live. If I falsely, however, say that there is no tiger when there is, consequences are a little bit worse. So we've developed a hypersensitivity there. Another reason is simply because humans fear what they don't understand.